Hola! How are you guys today? Lisa here, and yeah, I know I told you that I would be probably doing some videos while I was in Oklahoma. Well, that didn't happen, obviously. We were busy every day. I was continually running to and fro all throughout Oklahoma. So, yeah, sorry about that. I am home now, kind of got settled. Lots of interesting things had happened while I was there, and Spirit started showing me other things and triggers from my childhood that I didn't even realize were there. And I was with my parents, so a lot of it, I mean, the way things opened up, that, let me put this down, hang on a second. Things started to reveal themselves while I was in the middle of situations, and I noticed that I started to begin to feel extremely anxious and agitated and annoyed, and to the point where I had to like get away from my parents. And I love my mom and dad, do not get me wrong, do not take this that my parents are awful people, because they're not. They're some of the most wonderful people you would ever come in contact with, and they would do anything for anybody. However, I noticed, you know, with everything going on, that leading up to this full moon in Sagittarius, there was going to be a release of something huge. And this whole past week, the whole time I was in Oklahoma, Spirit was showing me, these are the areas we need to touch on. This is where this came in. This is what you got to do to release it. And it's not your parents' fault. However, this stems from the way you were treated in childhood, early development, from a baby on. I'm going to give you a little, for instance. I was in meditation. It was probably about 3-4 weeks ago. And all of a sudden, I kind of had a vision. I kind of went into myself and during meditation, and I saw a child in a crib and like screaming her head off, like a baby, maybe 9 months old, standing on the crib crying. And all I wanted to do was go and, I mean, in a completely dark room, all I wanted to do was go and pick this baby up and hold this baby. And as I walked in the room, in my vision, I walked in and I realized the baby, it was a vision, because the baby didn't see me, obviously. This was like going back in time. But I walked over next to the crib, and she was just there, tears, crying, and the room was pitch black. And it was an older crib with like slats in it, like that you could actually put your hand through. And next thing I saw was the door open and the light in the hallway, and another little girl walked in. And it dawned on me when that door opened and I got a picture, like I got the illumination from the light, that it was my first house I grew up in. And that was my sister walking over to the crib. And here, that baby in the crib was me. And I remember my sister putting her hand through the slats and trying to play with me and trying to calm me down and comfort me. But my mom never came. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I'm just losing my mind. I never, you know, so what does this have to do with anything? Like, I mean, yeah, I felt for that, like, I felt pain, I felt what that child was feeling. I felt abandonment. I felt like I was being rejected. I felt like extremely fearful of being left and being abandoned. And as the vision kind of faded out and then faded back in, because I have very lucid, vivid visions and dreams. And the next thing I see was it was down in the same house in the living room. And I remember my sister we're only 18 months apart. And I was about nine months old to a year, right around in there, because I was learning how to walk. And I remember my sister helping me get up against the wall and start walking along the wall. And then she would take my hands and start helping me walk. And she'd let go, and of course I'd fall down. Well, next thing I know, it dawned on me that my sister was my nurturer as a baby. I didn't really have that from my own mom. I don't know why. I don't know what my mom was doing. I don't know, and I don't know why Spirit would show me that, unless he was trying, or she, divine, why they would show me that, unless they wanted to heal it, and unless they wanted to illuminate where this whole thing and this spirit of rejection had come in from. Sorry, I have an insight going. So I don't know if any of you are going through any of this type of healing or dealing with, trying to break free from abuse and negative patterns since childhood. But man, is it ever illuminating when you start this process and you start going through the digging up of all those emotions and all of those core beliefs about yourself. That's kind of where I was at. And I came to the end of myself because, I honestly want good relationships with people. I don't want this whole, I start out good and then, 2 weeks in, a month in, for some reason people are repelled, or I don't know what I do. I thought there was people who I had also talked to, well, actually only one person I talked to after my whole job incident from a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, because they're not allowed to talk to me. But yeah, isn't that nice being blackballed from a job you didn't deserve to lose because you were only trying to do your job? But it is what it is. I don't even care. They weren't the ones I was trying to please anyway. I was there for the people in my community. So that is that. I'm a civil servant. I don't serve the government. I serve the people. So I think that civil service really needs to change their name. And trust me, I am going to make a complaint at one point. I didn't file for my unemployment yet. I've only been back since Sunday morning, and we didn't get back until 7. We left at 8:15 on Saturday morning and didn't get back until 7:30 Sunday morning. No sleep, non-stop drive from Oklahoma City to here. Yeah, almost 24 hours. To say the least, I was exhausted. I was not a happy camper. I was dealing with, another trigger. Anytime I noticed, and I never noticed this before with my dad, because my mom does not drive, but my dad does. So he's like the sole person. Thank God I drive. but he was like the sole person who, you know, is always made to drive. So having me around was kind of nice because I could take some of the burden off. And honestly, I drove the country last year, so driving in cities and driving highways do not bother me anymore. I'm pretty comfortable. However, I know in my early years of driving, I would even say up until probably 5-6 years ago, I had a horrible fear of being in a car accident. I have this weird hair here. You know, I would have this horrible fear of being in a car accident and dying or getting really hurt or hurting somebody else. I don't know. I guess it was just a fear that I had, and it's an unreasonable fear. Like, what's going to happen is going to happen. But after last summer, I no longer had that. Like, I was completely stoked about making that trip alone. Not having to worry about anybody. I don't have a man. I didn't have anybody I had to worry about. My daughter was with her dad. My oldest son is in the Marines, and then I have my middle son. He lives with his dad. So like, it was all good. Either way, back to my discovery in Oklahoma. The whole way there, you know, it wasn't so bad. I even made a live video on Facebook where I'm like dancing to a Prince song, you know, and enjoying myself. I was enjoying the trip. Well, within like 10 hours of that trip, like, I noticed this heaviness of negativity and cranky and grumpy. And, you know, some of it, I know my daughter was extremely grumpy on her way down there. She had a bad experience at school that day. She took it on her trip. She was not happy because something was taken from her she shouldn't have had in school. And she was mad. And she brought it with her. Either way, it kind of caused, when, you know, like when one person is projecting negativity, it kind of like spreads to everybody else. Well, imagine being in a car with 20, you know, for 20 hours with people who are projecting negativity, and me being a sensitive, I couldn't take it. So I started projecting it back. And, you know, anytime we would get in that car down there, all that came out of my pop's mouth was griping about anything and everything all the time. It was constant. It was either the roads were shit, he didn't understand the GPS was wrong, the car with the gas mileage, the potholes, and then why do they have cones set up when there's nobody working and there's too many barrels here, and look at all the cops out. Obviously it's Memorial Day weekend. They're only out there to get people for drinking and driving. They're not out there to protect and serve. You know, and another thing, you know, that, you know, then there was this highway that, you know, there was around a major city. We were in Ohio at the point, and it was a lit up highway. You know, it was pretty bright, and my dad was bitching about that. And then anytime my phone would go off, he started screaming at me and just saying negative stuff, and I couldn't deal with it. I cannot deal with that type of negativity anymore. I need to be able to release myself and get away from people. Because the night I went down there, I actually decided, after there was a blow up with me and my daughter from all the negativity, and then, you know, I noticed that anytime they were around my sister, that everything was fine, cool, and dandy. Like, they would get out of the car and they'd act like there was nothing wrong. Well, somebody who's like me, who has to internalize that for 20 hours and then have to hear bitching about traffic the whole time, unless I was driving, oh, they still bitch, but they didn't bitch about my driving. However, I just put on the music and just did my happy little dance like I always do. But I noticed that was one thing that I noticed, that I understand now why I used to get so anxious in vehicles, because my dad he would turn into this person that I didn't know. He was extremely nasty, and almost, he'd go into a rage while he was driving. He would cut people off, you know, and not give a shit. And that's not me, man. Like, I mean, I'm a defensive driver. Obviously, yes, there's times where you have to be more offensive, like when you're on, like, the Beltway, you know, down near Washington, D.C. But, you know, I'm very strategic in my driving. And I don't know. One thing, it was shed on me that I grew up with a lot of verbal abuse and physical abuse and emotional and psychological abuse as well. My parents might not have realized what they were doing. Blue, stop. Look at my cat. Really? Oh, come here. It's okay. He's a Persian. Stop. Got me off track now, Blue. I was pretty much enlightened to the fact of what I had dealt with when I was a child. Oh my gosh, baby, you need brushed. Yes, you do. Excuse me. Hold on 1 second. So yeah, I was enlightened to the fact of what had happened to me as a kid. And, you know, my parents, I believe, honestly, they did the best that they could. I'm not blaming them. I still love my parents. However, I did project negativity back on them. And then I heard, oh, well, if I was ever that disrespectful to my parents, I would have gotten blah, 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 blah. Well, you want to know what? I mean, I felt like a piece of garbage being down there. I felt like the only reason they wanted me to go was so that they had an extra person to drive. They could have cared less whether or not I was there. You know, and part of the reason, I'm so sorry about this. Part of the reason I may have, you know, I may have given them an extra reason to fire me at my job was because I was going to this wedding. And, you know, I wanted to use my vacation time that I earned. And, you know, I'd asked to go, and right before I went, they fired me. So, who knows? You say what you think. So, yeah, that's another... I mean, yeah, I can talk about relationships and how I dealt with psychological and emotional, but I'm looking now back in childhood, and I saw it firsthand. You know, the other thing, and I'm going to let you know, I noticed is they put me and my sister in a different category. You know, my mom, might have even only been 3 or 4 months ago. She would always make the excuse that, well, and this is my mom, I think that you should just stay single, you know. I don't think you could live with somebody ever again. I think that, you know, you should just stay single for the rest of your life. You know, I wouldn't worry about finding anybody. You're good on your own. But yet, when I was dating somebody for 5 years, we were engaged. We were going to get married up in Vermont. And my mom made the statement, which is a 9-hour drive from here, made the statement, that's too far to drive. I don't think me and your dad can handle it. But yet they're driving 20 hours out to watch my sister get married. You know, and all this stuff come flooding back. And, you know, of course, they're like, well, why are you living in the past? No, this is me just This is spirit bringing up all this hurt and all this stuff that they treat me one way, and they look at me differently than they look at my sister. Like, she deserves it and I don't. Because I don't deserve anything. I deserve to be shit on. So that's kind of my whole take on things. And you want to know what? It used to upset me that bad that me and my sister would fight. Well, I got on to that, and I got keen to that, and I got to the point where me and my sister sat down, and I had said to her, you know, there was times, and the stuff that mom and dad would say to me, it would really hurt me. So, and I would take it out on you, and I'm sorry, because it's not your fault. You know, I don't want mom and dad coming between our relationship. And she agreed 100%. However, she didn't agree that, you know, mom and dad don't love me or treat me the same. They don't. But when you're the golden child, you're not gonna, you know, be upset that you're getting treated better. It's almost like, it almost felt, and it wasn't from my sister or the family or anything, it almost felt like my mom and dad were shoving it in my face that my sister was able to get married and find somebody else so quick, and I couldn't. No, I just have really high standards. I just have extremely high standards. So, it's going to be the right person. Somebody who's on the same wavelength, same level as me. If I ever choose to get married again. That's just the way I look at it. So, yeah, I don't know if my parents have narcissistic traits. I'm trying to put my finger, if they're just abusive people. I don't know. They're just toxic people. I've never noticed it like this until I went on this trip. Never. Because I'd spend so much time with them. Like, the night I got there, I stayed at my sister's house, me and my daughter. And I felt so much better because I was so anxious to the point where I had to take 2 of my Klonopin just to calm down. And it didn't even knock me out. That's not like me. I'm lucky to take maybe 1 or 2 a week, not 2 at a sitting, because of the stress and the anxiety and the panic attacks that I was having, which caused me to be triggered and get upset. But yeah, anybody who's on here, if you would like to kind of give me maybe a heads up, like, this is new to me. I wasn't expecting, I was expecting to go out to Oklahoma, have a really nice time, have fun on the trip. Nope. It was the worst trip of my life. I will never go on another road trip with my parents. Ever again. Never. Ain't happening. The only reason they wanted to go is because, you know, I would make remarks, well, Princess got married, so, you know. If it would be me, on the other hand, you can't drive 8 or 9 hours. You can drive 20, but not 8 or 9. They would always say, oh, why can't you just get married around here? Oh, your family's from here. Well, why couldn't she? Why? Oh, because there was something in it for you. You wanted to drive out there because it was your favorite daughter. But I'm not supposed to get angry. I'm not supposed to be pissed off, and I'm not supposed to get jealous. And you know what? I'm not angry. I'm not pissed off. And I'm not jealous. I just see things for what they are now. And I haven't spoken to my parents since they dropped me off on Sunday, and I don't plan on it. I need to heal some stuff. So, I was supposed to go to therapy yesterday. I wasn't feeling it. Like, I just stayed home. I was going to make a video last night. Actually, I'm going to probably click off of this, and I'm going to do another video. I'm going to actually do a tarot video. I'm going to start with my, I'm going to start doing some tarot readings. So, with this new moon in Sagittarius that we just had, like, this is an extreme, and with, I find it miraculous as well that Chiron is in my sign. I'm an Aries, so Chiron is known as the wounded healer, and he comes and he reveals the things in your life that need to go, or the mindsets, or the patterns, or, you know, all that stuff that just needs to go, and that spirit wants to heal. So my next 7 years ought to be interesting. There's some other things that I want to talk to you all about yet, sort of like with my video diary, but I think I'm going to try and do a tarot video here. We'll see who I pick, because I actually have 3 different decks. But yeah, I'm already 25 minutes into this thing. So please comment, subscribe, like, let me know if any of you guys experience similar things like this. I mean, yeah, I felt like the black sheep, you know, the scapegoat, that's, you know, usually I'm the child that was the scapegoat, apparently. So yeah, if you don't mind commenting, it really would help encourage me to know that I'm not the only one who had gone through something like this. And it would be nice to, you know, hear from you, some of my people. I know I have 8 subscribers now. Yay! We're getting there. I have 8 subscribers now. Thank you so much. But yeah, I'm going to start getting into tarot readings now. So start showing you my gift. It's really jumped in high gear, you know, since my intuition has went to a whole new level. But yeah, you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the other side with a tarot video. And I'll kind of explain how my spread goes, because I do a spread completely differently than everybody else. And I completely let everything up to spirit, and I channel. So, you know, take it for what it's worth. You know, I listen to what my gut tells me, and I go with it. Hopefully it resonates. We'll see who I do. I actually have my zodiac sign cards. So what I do is, you know, I have already saged them. I saged everything. And what I do is I spread them out, and I pick a card, and I ask Spirit to show me who they want me to read for. And then I have the planets that I have separated, and I pick the helping planet that goes with that sign. So whoever has a planet, whoever is that sign that has that planet, I want you to look for your placement in the chart. So maybe you can see like what that energy is going to have, you know, during this month of your life. And then also I have the elements, like what element is going to help you through the month, and what element you should be really honing in on or focusing in on, or even maybe the element of somebody who's your partner or who's a friend, or somebody that's going to help guide you, you know, this energy that's going to either, whether it's earth that needs grounded, whether it's fire that needs, you know, passionate forward movement, whether it's water that needs cleansing and just a spiritual awakening, or air where, you know, you have mystical, magical things happen, you know, and, you know, you speak your truth. So, yep, that's what I'm going to be doing. So we'll catch you on the other side. Have a wonderful evening. Bye.